Hi and welcome. In this video, we'll walk through the configuration settings in Company Calendar for Jira. This section is designed for Jira administrators. These settings apply as defaults for all users, helping you standardize how teams interact with the calendar. Date and time formats, look and feel, and email notification settings are defaults, but each user can customize them individually. We'll start with date and time formats. This is where you define how dates and times are displayed across the calendar. Here's what you can configure. All-day event hours. Set the default duration for all-day events. For example, when tracking full-day tasks, time view long events display. Use the time grid when precise timing matters, such as scheduled work or meetings. Use the all-day area for high-level visibility, like milestones, deadlines, or multi-day tasks. Date format defines how dates appear in the UI and event details. Time format. Choose between 12-hour or 24-hour display. For example, 24-hour format is often preferred in operations or engineering teams, while 12-hour format may be more familiar for business users. Week start day. Define whether the week starts on Monday or Sunday. This helps align the calendar with regional standards or internal planning cycles. Next is work time. Here you define your organization's working and non-working days across 3 years. Key capabilities include defining working days and weekends. For example, this is essential for global teams operating across regions with different work weeks, such as Middle Eastern countries with Sunday to Thursday schedules. Adding overrides for public holidays or custom non-working days. For example, if your company takes a day off on Monday, April 13th, but schedules a working day on Saturday, April 18th, you can configure these exceptions to accurately reflect your organization's schedule. Using copy to next year to quickly replicate your setup while safely merging any existing exceptions. Look and feel. This tab controls how the calendar is displayed and how much information users can see at a glance. The goal is to improve readability and bring clarity across different teams and use cases. Minutes and slot defines how time is divided within the calendar grid. Smaller intervals provide more precise visibility, which is useful for environments where scheduling happens in short time blocks. Slot height controls the vertical size of each time slot. Lower slot height allows more of the schedule to fit on screen, helping project managers review timelines without excessive scrolling. Start-end hours. Adjust the visible working hours in the calendar. This is particularly relevant for shift-based industries such as manufacturing, logistics, or customer support operating 24/7. Calendar position defines whether users land on the current date or return to the last viewed date. Event height controls how much detail is shown within each event, ideal for engineering or product teams that rely on detailed context. Default event minutes sets the default duration for events created from a single date-time field. By default, the app caches data without invalidation to speed up the UI interactions. You can adjust this behavior by setting the cache expiration interval. Daily totals displays aggregated time totals for events, helping users quickly understand workload distribution. Issue Event Panel displays custom events linked to a Jira work item directly within the issue details view, providing additional context. Show or hide messages allows you to control the visibility of system messages. Next, we have email notifications. This section controls whether users receive reminders about upcoming events. Before enabling email notifications, ask users not to mark app emails as spam and to use notifications only for work-related activities. If needed, allow users to opt out by selecting Yes for the setting. Notifications only work when they are enabled in 2 places: globally in this configuration tab, and within each individual event source in calendar configuration. This gives you flexible control over communication. In this tab, you can also define who receives notifications and when, so the right people are informed at the right time without creating unnecessary noise. The Global Settings tab gives you control over how events behave outside the app and how the app appears in Jira. Here's what you can configure. Calendar export. Restrict exporting for security or compliance reasons. This is critical in industries like finance, healthcare, or pharmaceuticals. In our case, we keep export enabled to allow calendar sharing with non-Jira users. iCalendar Organizer. Define whether exported events use the reporter or assignee. App display and project sidebar. Choose if the calendar appears in Jira Space context, in all projects, or just selected ones. Show in user picker. Select only Jira users to exclude Service Desk users who do not have Jira access. These settings help you align the app with your organization's policies and workflows. Now let's move to calendar management. This section allows Jira administrators to view, search, edit, and maintain all calendars. It helps ensure correct permissions, proper ownership, especially when users change roles or become inactive. Here we can see a calendar owned by an inactive user. Let's reassign ownership to another team member to keep the calendar accessible and up to date. The email status page allows administrators to review the status of email notifications sent by company calendar for Jira. Event types. Custom event types allow administrators to define additional event categories used when creating custom event sources. This helps align Jira with your company's workflows, ensuring critical activities are clearly scheduled and tracked. For example, in healthcare, custom event types such as on-call duty, incident response, or maintenance window help teams manage responsibilities with greater clarity and accountability. The permissions section allows administrators to control access to key features of company calendar for Jira. These settings determine which user groups can see the calendar menu and which groups are allowed to create new calendars. The REST API allows you to integrate company calendar for Jira with external applications and automate actions such as creating calendars, configuring sources, and managing events. And that's it. The configuration section gives you centralized control over how company calendar for Jira works across your organization.